I would like to introduce my new book, Words from the Water's Edge. It is a selection of passages from my writings over the last 30 years. Part 2, The Deepening Mystery of the Two Worlds. Here the inner and outer worlds came together within my heart, and also in the unfolding mystery of the world around, where nature is the first book of Revelation. There was a time when every grove and stream was sacred. Meaning and wisdom were found in the cycles of the moon and the germination of the plants. The divine was seen as present in everything, from the fire on the hearth to the stars in the heavens. The earth was marked by lines of power, called ley lines in the west, dragon lines in the east. Where certain lines intersected, temples and circles of standing stones were built. These were places of power, where spiritual energy was most concentrated and accessible. The power at these sites and their temples not only helped people in their relationship to the divine, but also aided the flow of spiritual energy into the whole of life. Through these places of power, nature was nourished, the crops grew, and the people benefited both inwardly and outwardly, in their souls and in their daily lives. So much was given at this time, when the soul of humanity and the soul of the world were bonded together, and the earth showed her generosity. The land was pristine, and its sacred nature known and praised. It was a time of beginning, the time of the original instructions, when the servants of light began their work of awakening the world. It was then that the sacred names of creation were first given to human beings, first to the shamans, healers, and keepers of the sacred ways, the names of animals that evoked their power, the names of plants that revealed their healing properties, the names of rivers and mountains that ensured that the world was kept in harmony and balance. And through them, humanity and the created world came into a new relationship and sang together. There was a purity of intention in this relationship between humanity and the earth and all of its myriad creatures. Their partnership had a sacred purpose. Together they would work to awaken the magic and light hidden within the physical world, and that light would serve a higher purpose. This was the beginning of the covenant between humanity and creation, how the natural world was the first book of divine revelation. The world is not a problem to be solved. It is a living being to which we belong. The world is part of our own self, and we are a part of its suffering wholeness. Until we go to the root of our image of separateness, there can be no healing. And the deepest part of our separateness from creation lies in our forgetfulness of its sacred nature, which is also our own sacred nature. The sacred is not something primarily religious or even spiritual. It is not a quality we need to learn or to develop. It belongs to the primary nature of all that is. When the first peoples felt that everything they saw was sacred, this was not something taught, but instinctively known. It was as natural as sunlight, as necessary as breathing. We all have within us a sense of the sacred, a sense of reverence, however we may articulate it. It is a part of our human nature. There was a time when the language of the earth was the language of our daily lives, of planting and harvesting, sunshine and storms. The words of the sacred were stars and seeds, mountains and rivers. The soul and the seasons of nature moved together. They spoke the same mystery, the beauty that is within and around us. It was all as natural as breathing, not needing to be remembered, because never forgotten. How could you forget the wind on your face or the songs of birds? How could you forget the rise and fall of the tide? These were not stories written in books. but live from morning until dusk, until dream time wove another texture into the firelight. This place where the two seas meet is the locus of the mystical journey. And then there are stories that take us on their journey from beyond distant horizons. These are the stories I have been drawn to live, of visions of other worlds, unseen but potent beyond my imagination. Stories of light and darkness, of what is sacred and what is forgotten. These stories haunt me, often because they are mostly unsaid, or do not belong to the more recognized landscape of our lives. They do not fit into familiar patterns, but speak of a vaster landscape, of wisdom we have lost, or a future we dare not see. There is a place beyond the here and now. It is tended by angels, and the light is too bright for eyes to see. It welcomes strangers and those who belong only to love. It is sad how we have forgotten this place, a place of perfection beyond even the shores of desolation. Yet those who travel there cannot forget. Even if there is no mind, no images to remember, it remains a light in the darkness of the world, a place of refuge amidst the troubles of what we call life. It is as it always was. There are no seasons, no passing of the days. Remember this place, when it seems you are far away, when it seems that the river runs dry, or the cry of the soul is too intense to bear. In the end, prayer and the place of prayer are all I have to offer, all I have to live. My real companions are silence and prayer, the silence that knows me, that asks nothing and is always present. And prayer, that place where the worlds come together, where unknowing is an answer, where tears sometimes fall. Prayer is the friend of these my later years, when activity is for others, those who are still turning the pages of life. I prefer prayer, where the heart turns on its own, where the silence is part of me. Sometimes love is also present, sometimes the heart aches. Prayer knows these siblings, love and heartache, and prayer does not expect any answer. I used to look for answers, but that was long ago. More and more as I get older, I prefer to remain in unknowing, like when I first sat in meditation half a century ago, not expecting anything, but being taken into wonder. This for me is prayer, is spirit, is love, is watching a spring bud open on the plum tree in my garden. Do not be discouraged. Do not ever be discouraged, even when you feel so lost and misunderstood. When the wheels of existence carry you along roads you would rather not travel. There is this other land, this landscape that belongs to love. This is the place where the two seas meet, where existence reveals its secrets, where time uncovers what always was, even if you have never seen it before. This world is not as we think. It is made from a substance that is not of atoms or particles, and in its depths there is a hidden song. Maybe at some moments in my life I have touched this substance, caught a line of this song. Maybe I have felt the heart of the world in my dreams, or while walking one still early morning. And so these pages leave traces, footprints that come to the water's edge. The sand is always shifting, the shoreline moves, and the currents of love's ocean run deeper than we can ever know.